This presentation is going to address internet accessibility and some of the problems that we face, the limiting factors, and some ways of solving those problems. There was a study done that looked at several households and their broadband usage, and this was conducted between 2001 and 2009 because that was a period where high-speed internet was just taking off. The older dial-up internet was becoming less and less popular, and what they found was that most people that were adopting this broadband, the main traits of this population were that they were younger, they were often married couples, they lived in urban environments, they had a higher income than their counterparts who did not have the at-home connection to internet. They were also more educated than the people that did not have home internet, and the ethnicities were white and Asian. They also looked at the people that did not have these home broadband connections, and their complaints about it were the affordability, the demand, maybe they just didn't need it for their job, or they didn't need it for any higher degrees that they were pursuing. So there just was a lack of demand for this internet, high-speed internet. The availability, they may have lived in more rural environments or communities that didn't allow for these wireless connections to be placed underground, and that there were also people with disabilities that didn't have in-home high-speed internet. That's the topic that I'd like to focus the most on, because the other ones we can find solutions to those, such as visiting a public library that allows public access to the internet, or visiting a family member or neighbor to give you some temporary internet access. But the ones with disabilities, that can be really limiting. For as much as the internet has helped people with disabilities, it can also place these additional struggles on them, and so we want to talk about some ways of solving those problems. About 1/5 of the general population has a disability, and the ones that are really affected by this online nature are the blind, the deaf, and people with motor impairments. So some of the ways that we can help our websites be more accessible to them would be to have articles be read aloud, or pictures have captions for those that are blind. It just engages the other senses so that they're not relying on their vision that may be impaired. For people with hearing impairments or those that are deaf, they would need something like captions or transcripts on video files. And then lastly, for people with motor impairments, the movement of a mouse is pretty difficult to do with your fingers. And so if there are options like noticing head movements or eye movements, and that would be able to move the cursor, that would really help people with motor impairments. So those are just a couple of ways of addressing these issues with that disability population.